Welcome to another episode of the rebranded, re-stepped up, amazing self-love for everyday superheroes radio and show. I am your host, Sacred Walker. So excited for another amazing episode today. Now, we're going to have some real gem droppers today, so do make sure that you tune in, you subscribe below, and you check out our show notes, because those who stay until the end will get a special, extra, juicy, amazing treat from our amazing guests that we have today. And I'm so excited that you have shown up for yourself in support of self-love, self-care, and success strategies. So this podcast is meant to support you toward your journey of well-being. And here, as we unlock self-love in you for our everyday superheroes, we're going to be working with deepening self-love, reclaiming authentic freedom, and achieving that mental clarity so that you can have that better health and manifest your personal vision of excellence without the naysayers in the world and the critic in your own damn mind blocking your shine. This show is for educational purposes, and if you are seeking deeper support, do reach out to our main office for additional support at Ask Sacred, and we'll also give you some access to our extended network on the show as well. So trust and believe, you're going to be getting none but the best from here at us, with us at Pumbaa Health. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about something that's so important and sometimes really, really hard to spot. We're going to be talking about how do you transform that burnout that sometimes we don't even know what's happening in our bodies. Turn that burnout into brilliance. Many of us oftentimes work hard and then we turn around and we feel like our bodies are breaking down. And we create these habits in our life that actually become really costly, that don't have the long-term effects that we really want to see our brilliance shine. So that we can begin to invest more wisely in ourselves and do it in a way that really turns our burnout into brilliance, our burnout into our breakdown, because we are here ready, showing up for our breakthrough. So tune in, log in, subscribe, whether you are joining from Audible, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or any one of our amazing platforms, or whether you have jumped on in to join our Love Nation. We are so excited that you are here to gain some major nuggets. So remember, the through line today is going to be talking about transforming that burnout and breaking those costly habits so that you can really achieve your excellence. And in doing so, we're going to be understanding our past, right? We need to know, how does our past affect us? And the more that we do so, we can build that generational well-being so that we can level up. We can love ourselves and level up in the future. So I want to make sure that we're tuning in. If you are an ambitious leader, you're in the right place. If you are creative, you're in the right place. If you're an executive or an entrepreneur, you are in the right place. If you are someone who went, oh my goodness, my well-being is not where I want it to. I have certain habits, but they don't quite stick. And sometimes I don't always see my blind spots. I need some additional help to get there, and you're ready for peak performance. You are in the right place. Self-love is super important because it's the foundation of everything. We get to live our purpose, be O, open to our opportunities, V, turn our vices to victories, and emerge with our unmatched potential. So I want to make sure that we're going to be talking about big gems today. And we have an amazing guest that are going to be joining us, an amazing power team that I will be introducing in a moment. And I just want to make sure that you know that when we work on these things, our relationships, our romance, our friendships, our team members, our coworkers see a shift and change. So you've landed here for purpose, on purpose. And today we have none other than two powerhouses that I want to take a moment, and I would be remiss if I didn't powerfully introduce. Stacy and Markus are high-performance health coaches who help excellent, driven people realize the levels of energy and focus necessary to fuel their personal and professional goals. They have some big accreditations that you can see in our show notes, and they have been helping people from around the world to really level up so that they can shine. And today we're going to be coming in with the mind, the body, and the spirit approaches of care so that you can continue to stop putting your self-care to the side, stop losing your edge, and not burn out from your day job so that you can really continue to transform burnout into brilliance in your everyday. And they have a special treat for us. For those who tune in, you heard it first here, for those who tune in using the word sacred, SACRED. If you stay until the end, you're going to be getting a very special treat from these amazing powerhouses who, and quote, say, nature in all of its splendor is how they move in a spiritually grounded way. So people who say that, you already know, are going to be friends of our extended network. So those who've joined here and are ready, these are our friends. These are heart-centered people. I'm so glad to be knowing them. They have joined in on our Self-Love for Everyday Superheroes tribe. They have tuned in and they are resilient in the way that they continue to shine each and every day. And you'll be able to see in the show notes also ways to connect with them and ways that you can connect with them on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and on their website at yourveganfamily.com. So with all further ado, you have heard enough from me about how amazing these two powerhouses have come in with this amazing approach of transforming burnout into brilliance. And I want to welcome you, the one, the only, Stacy and Markus, to the show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. It's our sacred blessing.
Absolutely. It is my sacred welcome to see you. Oh my goodness gracious. So now that you're here and we've landed, why don't you tell us, I usually start off by asking how we know one another, but I think I want to get to that. But in a moment, I also want to ask, tell us a little bit about where you're joining us from today and what inspired this. Because for those of us who want to transform their life and live a life that is outside of the box and off the grain, right? Well, tell us a little bit about how you ended up where you are today.
Well, we're in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. And Vilcabamba in Spanish and in the Quichua language means the Valley of Longevity. And this is one of a number of places around the planet that National Geographic identified in 2007 where people regularly live with a high quality of life, you know, somewhere in their late 90s, early 100s, you know, based on the quality of the food that they have here, the community that they have together, continuing to move around and climb mountains. Literally, we're in the Andes Mountains right now. We've moved here for the next foreseeable future with our two young boys to improve our Spanish and to really understand what are some of the secrets that they have here. What are the foods that they're eating? How are they creating their life together here in community that allows them to be so successful and having a high quality of life for a long period of time?
Beautiful. So for those of us who either are from outside of the US, like myself, a fellow Caribbean, right? Or someone who said, okay, I'm moving to Ecuador. Colleagues of mine have said, I moved to Ghana or I moved to Mexico, and really are saying, I want to shift my quality of life. You've heard it here that it is absolutely possible to tune in. And for those of us who have kids or are responsible for them, right, in the sandwich years, we get a chance to say, what is a legacy we want to create? So I'm so excited just to hear that as legacy pioneers, that we get a chance to hear from the one and only Stacy and Markus about the way that you are not only embodying being an everyday superhero for those who are tuning in who feel that they are too. So thank you for sharing that. And I know originally I knew the beautiful Stacy, and then I got a chance now to get to know Markus. But Stacy, tell us a little bit about you. I know you and I have kind of chatted a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, the mind, body, spirit connection here is absurd. So tell our listeners who are tuning in a little bit about how we connected.
Social media can be a beautiful thing. It can be a beast, but the beauty of it is that it allows people like us to find one another. And when you find those people that have shared values and have a deep purpose and desire to help other people shine brilliantly in their lives, and not only do they want to do that, but they've gone to school, they've gathered the experience and the knowledge to be able to do that compassionate and brilliant way. And that is something that I appreciate about you, and is one of the main reasons that attracted us to you, is that we know that what you offer is deeply heartfelt and deeply supported by science and education and experience. And your skill in helping people with that mental, emotional side of being an amazing superhero, and our skill of helping people through that more physical side of health, so that you have the physical foundation to fly in your mental, emotional aspects, just makes us a perfect combination. So how could we not connect?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was so sweet. My heart was like, oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel the same exact way. I feel like that's a very integrative health approach. Like, what are the ways that we can continue to be drawn to one another? And you're right, social media can be such a beast. And we don't often know if those connections are authentic. And so to reach out and then to also be able to meet your beautiful husband and be able to get a glimpse of the kids. I think that that's just so wonderful, just to know that that's an energy that resides in your household and as well in your business. And so many of us who are tuning in oftentimes wonder, is the person who is serving me truly invested in me being well and me being my best? They want to know that it comes from that place. And for listeners who are tuning in, know that there's a genuine, heartfelt impact of the two brilliant people that, whether you're listening in or viewing, that you have in front of you, there's just an authentic connection here. And so I immediately was like, absolutely, they are not only about unlocking unstoppable love, but about being it. And in the world where there's so much happening, it can be sometimes lost in that. So tell us a little bit about a time that you fell in love with your gift. You fell in love with your gift of making an impact on people to be able to transform their burnout into a breakthrough that can help them achieve their brilliance.
I know that both of us have been excellence-driven people our entire lives. From kindergarten, we just wanted to ace school. We wanted to learn as much as we could. We're insatiably curious people. Athletics were a challenge for us that we happily took on. And so in everything that we've done in our lives, we have pursued a level of excellence. We like to explore the edges of what's possible for us. And so we push ourselves. And if you're the kind of person who does that, who, really invests yourself in whatever you've chosen to do, and you're looking for those edges, that means that you can also skirt that edge of burnout. Like, to really grow in your excellence, you're on an edge where you can fall into burnout if you are not mindful, if you don't have smart strategies that keep you functioning at your optimal levels. And when you're in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, it's not really such a big deal. You've got a lot of energy, right? But we're both in our 50s. And so we got really motivated to make sure that we had those habits in place that could help us continue to thrive and to shine, no matter what challenges we choose to take on. And moving our entire family from the US into a different country where none of us are fluent in Spanish, and it's a very different culture, is one way that we are testing another edge. And we are utilizing all the tools we talk about in order to keep us on the right side of that edge and keep us feeling strong. And we've been working with people for 30 years. And so we've been helping people for a very long time to stay on that right edge of adventure and personal exploration. And when you work with somebody for decades, or you work with generations of family, you get to see people go from their 50s into their 80s, and you get to see how that happens, or from their 30s into their 60s. And so again, that was a way that we educated ourselves and got to interview people about what's important. What did you do? What was your secret to land in your 80s or 90s and feel amazing?
Absolutely. Beautiful. Well said. And for those who are tuning in, we heard and hear that we're talking about intergenerational transformation to create that generational well-being that we oftentimes talk that big stuff on the show. So tell us, same question for you, Markus. When did you fall in love with your gift of transforming burnout to helping people shine in their brilliance?
Well, I think, like Stacy said, we've been the type of people, I think, from the moment I set foot on planet Earth, to take a drink from the fire hose as opposed to the drinking fountain. So we love to learn, and we're both scientists by training. And so we like to test, and we like to push, and we like to prod, and we like to poke, and we like to dig in over here and see what we find. And I think one of the nice things about our work is it's co-creative, in that when you're working with clients, especially clients from all over the world that have different socioeconomic backgrounds, that have different ethnic backgrounds, that come from different family patterns, different emotional situations. We learn as much from the people that we work with as they might be able to learn from us as well, because we all have things to offer in the situation. And what we share has been tested. As scientists, we would not ever advocate for anything that we haven't done for ourselves and that we've also done for our 11-year-old and our 8-year-old son. We test everything that we find. We test everything that we're learning. We test every new food that we think might have a benefit in some way on ourselves first. And that's a really exciting part and a really important way for our family to relate to each other. It creates a lovely dynamic with our boys around food that helps educate us more about them, helps deepen our relationship, but it gives us so much more to share with other people. We've done a lot of crazy things, and I think that is something that really helps us meet someone in the place that they are and then walk to a new place together.
Absolutely. And what I love about that is that they create space for those who are adventurous and also those who are risk adverse, who can understand, okay, this is new for me. I'm not used to experimenting, or the person who is just caution to the wind, right? You can have space for all of that because there's space to understand that spectrum. So for those who are tuning in, we're so happy that you've shown up today to the show to be able to hold space for wherever you are on the spectrum. I can relate to this piece or that piece. There's going to be a gem for you today. So thank you for sharing that. And I can definitely relate to what you both have said, that there have been times where I'm in my 40s, and I would say there are times where I oftentimes feel like, oh my gosh, my body is aching. What does this sign mean? Or there are times where I know that I'll pick up and say, let me fly to India. Let me take time to fly to Mexico. And there's a shift that happens in the vibration of my body because of the way that I'm in balance with nature and the way that I'm in balance with the foods that I'm eating and knowing its source. Right. Yeah. And so coming from an evidence-based and a scientifically grounded place is so powerful when we're talking about things like big stuff like emotions and the physical body and the nervous system and what's happening and breaking down. So I can appreciate the fact that you have a love for these things. I'm sure those who are tuning in are like, you can hear that love. I'm sure if you can comment below and you feel like, okay, I can hear the love, I can resonate with what's coming up. If you're a frequenter of this show, and you've shown up and you are in a place where you're ready to be unstoppable, you know we're going to be talking about big stuff. You'll be able to tune in below to see where you can connect with Stacy and Markus, and we're going to be talking about how in a moment. And as well, you can talk about, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like some emotional things are coming up. I need to do a deeper dive. You can also be connected to one of our therapists, because if there are ways that we can, from a mind, body, and spirit perspective, get that support, because we want to make sure that as we talk about big stuff, we're going to tune in, tune up, and open things up. But if it feels like it needs more, we're going to start talking about things and you're like, oh, that's me. You have a way that you'll be able to tune in and touch base in a moment. Okay, Love Nation. So for those who are tuning in, we're about to do some deeper dive to what we brought Stacy and Markus on to talk about today. So Stacy and Markus, tell us a little bit, for those who are tuning into the show today, how do I even know? So say, for example, I am someone who I am in the day-to-day grit. I am an everyday superhero, showing up, swooping in, showing up with excellence, like us, top of their class, or sometimes feeling like we're trying to catch up in life. And all of a sudden, life hits us. What are some of the warning signs that our bodies are out of whack, or we feel like something is off and we need to pay attention? What are some pay attention signs for those who are tuning in?
Well, one really easy pay attention sign is that you are wanting more coffee, more tea, more sugar, those stimulants that give you a false level of energy. So, you know, in essence, you're substituting your real vital chi for coffee or caffeine or sugar. So that's one sign, is if you're craving those things. Another is that your energy waffles through the day. You've got your highs, you've got your lows, and especially that afternoon crash. A lot of people will have in the afternoon, their focus will dissipate a little bit, their energy will go down, and it just means they've used up what they've got. And then they're taking a withdrawal out of their energy savings to keep going and keep pushing. Another sign is that you get home at the end of the day and you don't really have time or energy to make that meal, you know, the connections that you want to have with the people that you love most, or the passion projects that you have outside of your work life that you really want to do, you don't get to them. And you go to bed feeling like I either didn't show up great for my work, I'm disappointed, or I wasn't able to connect with my kids or my spouse in the way that was really meaningful to me. Or gosh, I just didn't have any time to do something else that I love to do. So if you go to bed feeling like I didn't quite get my A game on in all the ways that I wanted, that says that what you want and what your energy capacity is are not balanced.
As Stacy said, when you go to bed, if you're not getting good sleep, that's another really important sign that you need to pay attention to. It's also a part of the solution, but it's an important sign. If you're going to bed and feeling unsatisfied in your day and unsatisfied in yourself for how you've performed with whatever goals you've set, whether they're personal, whether they're within your business, whether they're within your family, that's not the optimal way to go to bed, to get your deepest sleep, to then wake up the next morning excited and energized and ready for your day to kick some butt. And so your sleep is a very strong indication for how successful you are in your self-love and in your goal making, goal setting, and goal achieving every day.
Absolutely. I want to speak into this because this, for those who are tuning in, I've heard some gem droppers just in what, and I don't know if y'all missed it who are tuning in. Sugar, insomnia, and pushing past that normal, regular hour where you know that you don't have any more energy and you are still trying to squeeze in more. Those three areas are things that we have heard again and again in the work that we've done around the world, people, that these are aches and pains that are the hidden things that people feel like that's just what I'm supposed to go through. And all of a sudden we start to have organ failure and we start to have heart palpitations and we start to have panic attacks and all the things. So for those who are tuning in, I remember there was a time back before I was standing in my shine in my full-time practice. I was working in LGBT adolescent healthcare. And I was so exhausted. I was working Kumba Health after hours. I was like, I am an everyday superhero working with adolescents in the daytime and really still trying to do my best to prepare for our retreats in the evenings. And I remember one day I got home and I literally collapsed. I don't even remember how I fell asleep. I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember how I got on the train, off the train. I was in autopilot, not an auto piece, as we like to say. And I was completely shifted off. And then I woke up the next morning and I literally did not remember how I got home. And I said to myself, somehow this is not living. And it didn't mean that I didn't do powerful work that day, didn't show up for the young people, didn't lead team meetings, wasn't doing all the things, right? But it just meant that the everyday superhero in me sometimes needed to be reinforced with some self-love. So for those who are tuning in who can either relate to that or something else, if you are someone who is struggling with any of those things, what do you do? Why is it important that we sleep? People are like, well, who needs sleep anyway? Why is it important that we don't push into 12, 14 hours a day every single day? We're just busy. Why are those things important to pay attention to?
Well, when we work with people, we look at the long arc of time. We're not the have another cup of coffee, put the Band-Aid on and keep moving, although we're good at doing that when we have to, because sometimes life asks that. But we're looking at your lifetime. We're looking at your quality of life until you draw your last breath. The investments that we make in ourselves now, we want those to be investments that yield huge dividends throughout the rest of your life. So if you look at your energy as you've got a checking account, you've got a savings account, and your savings account is the life force. Like when you use up your savings, that's the end. And ideally, and you know, this, I suppose it's in a lot of cultures, but certainly in Asian medicine, which is my specialty, they look at the energy that you generate throughout the day. And I call that the checking account of energy in Asian medicine. And we want to generate energy every day. We want to be energy generators, not just energy users or replacers. We want to generate it. So if you have systems in place where you're getting enough sleep, there you go, you fill up your checking account. You're hydrating, okay, you filled up another part of your checking account. You're eating well, you're building and supporting robust gut biome and digestion abilities so that you extract all that you can from the food that you eat. Things are just optimized. That fills up your checking account fast. You've got deep, positive social connections. You move your body. You pay attention to your mindset and your mental health and your self-talk. All those things put money in your checking account. So when you wake up the next day, you've had deposits, a bunch of deposits. So you wake up and you've got a full checking account, and you can go through and you can write those energy checks all day long and do what you need to do. But if you don't fill up your checking account, each day you're going to take a little more out of savings.
Sure.
And then, you know, as you go, and that's fine for a little while, but at some point it catches up with you. And when it catches up with you, it's not fun and it's not fast and it's not always that easy to get out of that kind of health debt.
Yeah.
And in that same metaphor, it's the work hard versus work smart. And you're writing a check every time you overindulge in coffee, or maybe you drink energy drinks, which might, it's a whole nother story, but you're writing a check. When you are taking an action, you are drawing from that source. And the more checks that you write while you're also trying to fill up the checking account, you can't really get ahead. You can't really get to a place where you're working smart instead of working hard. And so you want all of your actions to be as efficient as possible. And that means having the foundation to make each of your actions be as meaningful as possible. And that's what fills up your account. That's what keeps you from withdrawing from that account on a regular basis throughout the course of your day and then throughout your week. And for every glass of water that you haven't had, that you've replaced with an energy drink or a cup of coffee, for every time that you should have gone walking, or you wanted to go walking, or you wanted to do your yoga class, or you wanted to take a bike ride and you didn't let yourself honor yourself do that, you've now just written a really big check for when you wanted to sit down and maybe read with your kids or connect with your spouse or connect with your loved one in some way that you've now not chosen to do. You've now written another check, and so we're constantly drawing from that account, but we want to make sure that we're withdrawing for all the right reasons too.
Absolutely. And what I love about what you said, which for those who are tuning in, we really want to take in the A to B. We start out with, you said it from the beginning, I was born with this light. We start out with this energy where our savings account is full. The universe gives us everything that we need. Within the EFOC tradition coming out of West Africa, we often talk about what does it look like when we are in balance with the earth and the earth can replenish us, and what happens when we disconnect from it, right? We call that energy Ochosi when we're talking about our relationship to nature, right? And so for me to hear this and for us to land in on how are we writing checks in ways that deplete us versus become for business language, for those of us who are tuning in that way, a return on our investment. We really want to have a return on our investment, or we really want to feel like, oh my gosh, I said I don't have enough time for that business idea. I don't have enough time to listen to my grandchild. I don't have enough time to be able to travel. But maybe if I repurpose that energy right now, then it can shift. And for those who are listening, I want to be super clear. We here at Kumba Health, we here who are talking with the powerhouses, Stacy and Markus, we're not about cultural shaming here. If you are someone who are reaching for sugar, oh my gosh, one of my biggest weaknesses is condensed milk. Milk has no nutritional value. Let's be super clear. No nutritional value whatsoever. And drinking cow's milk technically is for cows, but that's a whole other conversation, right? But I am reaching for this thing that something inside of me might have an ancestral connection. If I am living with the Andes people and I am at someone's table, they may say, I want to nourish you. We're gonna honor those sweet moments because people love on us through food. 100%, 100%. But now we're saying that historically, a lot of the foods that even within the African tradition were seen as nourishing were actually things that were given to us because of lack, not because they were actually uplifting to us. So I might reach for something that was maybe once upon a time something that was good for us, and then we get to retrain our bodies and still have things that taste good but are healthy. So for those who are tuning in, we're not cultural shaming. If you are reaching for some sugar, some saucy thing, some Southern thing, it's okay. We want to look at how do we do it in a way that replenishes us. So tell us, Stacy and Markus, what might be something that, and of course, when you reach out to Stacy and Markus, you can talk with them about my personalized thing because everyone is so unique. But what might be something that for those who are tuning in, they may say, I got to cut out my coffee. I got to cut out my sugar. We're not saying that. We're saying we're looking at personalizing it. What is something that I might be able to add to that savings, add to that bank account that might give me energy?
The first thing I think you need to add to all of it is consciousness.
There we go. Go ahead. Go ahead. Speak into it, Markus. Can I get an amen who are listening? Okay, go ahead.
A lot of what we do, we're patterned up emotionally by our families, by our religions, by the places in the pueblos and the cities that we've lived in, by our families. Some of the behaviors and the actions that we take are very unconscious. They're things that we've not chosen to look at, to see, is this serving me? Is this not serving me? How is it affecting me? And I think in the example that you were just talking about with condensed milk, our bodies are in a sacred balance, that our minds, our souls, our emotions all work together. And while a bit of condensed milk might not be the best thing for my physical body, if it brings me to an emotional place that is my happy place, that reminds me of my family and really reinforces the rich cultural traditions that I have in my background, the benefits that you're going to get from the mental emotional space might far outweigh what small effect it might have on your physical body. And so our bodies are always in a sacred balance, working in harmony all the time. But what we want to do is make sure that our habitual patterns that we're creating, our foundational patterns that we're creating, are ones that serve us, and that we're aware of what those patterns are, and we've consciously chosen the things that we know work for us.
Another part of it too is a lot of people, this is a misconception a lot of people have when they go towards someone that is a health coach or health consultant. They think, oh my God, I've got to give up X, Y, and Z, and that is hard and it's so challenging. And I remember my first year of college, I was 18, and I thought, I'm going to give up sugar for a month. And I was going to cook for the family. I made cookies, everything for our lunches every day when my dad would go to work and us kids would go to school. And I thought I was going to die. I remember sitting in the car one day going, oh my God, I have to have a cookie.
Withdrawal is real.
It was intense. So I know that's not easy. And that's a big check to write, to say, I have to engage my willpower and resist the things that some part of me wants, whether it's the gut bacteria speaking for my physical body, my mental, emotional background or makeup. So what we like to do is, instead of resisting and cutting things out, we much prefer to add things. Consciously add the things that nourish your body, mind, and spirit. And you add enough of those things that you're like, yeah, I want to add that. I want to add that. And pretty soon, the things that don't serve you are out at the edges. They're no longer the focus. So it's never about restriction and avoidance. It's about fill up with what serves you best. And we have a cup of coffee in the morning. I just had a birthday party last weekend. We had a delicious chocolate cake. Like, these things are not bad, but it's all about balance. Even broccoli can be bad if you have too much of it. So fill up with the things that nourished you. The other things will fade away as your body comes into greater harmony and you start feeling better and better because of what you're choosing.
Absolutely. And what I love about what you're sharing for those who are tuning in and hearing and going, okay, is that you're addressing those misconceptions, right? Because for excellence-driven people, we want to do everything in excellence. So I am going to, not only am I going to give up on this sugar, but I'm going to quit on everything that has sugar on it. Right. And all of a sudden, the very stressed out body and the stressed out organs and the stressed out consciousness, as you said, Markus, and even wanting to do some sweet things, like you said, Stacy, I just want to give my family cookies. I just want to love on my family with a cake. All of a sudden, those things become another stressor, right? In our lives of feeling like we're not enough, we're not worthy, and we're falling short. And so this is why it's so important that we get to partner with experts in the field that can say, we're going to hold all of you from a holistic perspective. This is what I'm hearing that I think is so important for those who are tuning in to really land in on. That we're expecting you to be imperfectly fabulous and human in who you are, right? Self-love means that we get to embrace all of you. And so I just want to make sure that we hear some of those gem droppers that are coming at us right now. Is that the shift that happens is that we're loving ourselves along the way, right? We don't get to put on the back burner the beautiful person we are while we're stepping into our power. So in the spirit of turning pain to power, and in the spirit of looking at how we don't want our health goals and turning burnout to burn us out, right? We want to now talk to you about how we can really be victorious, because we've been here together for some time, and those who have listened to the end of this show, who have tuned in or ready to tune up and ready to transform, have gone, okay, I've seen a part of myself in this, or maybe I have a friend. Self-love is exponential. Maybe I have a colleague. Maybe there's someone on my team who is wrestling with this. Maybe there is the commissioner in our department or the director here, or a supervisor who comes in and just a little bit short. You're like a little short before they get their coffee. You're like, we want to really tune in and tune up and go, how do we take those as signs of burnout, as signs that that person might actually need support if they're open to it? So for you who have tuned into the end of this episode, I am so proud of you. I am proud of you because it means you are committed to taking care of yourself, loving on yourself, and committed to your success. And so for those who are tuning in, I want you to know that if, remember I said there's a treat, that if you go ahead and reach out to Stacy and Markus using the code SACRED, you'll be able to get the only access to direct Stacy and Markus. Okay, I need y'all to understand that even though they are live from Ecuador, they are accessible, they are tuning in, they are open-hearted, and they are so empowered to be able to serve you. And so if you are someone who has gone to your vegan family, if you haven't done already, hop on over. Okay, stop, as we would say back in the day, stop playing, okay? And you'll be able to get your high performance health audit. Because you come and you work with us, whether you come to the show, you come to our retreats, you come to our programs, and we're tuning you up to make sure that you are emotionally in balance and you can have emotional and financial freedom. But we want to make sure that your physical body is always working at its optimal best. So do reach out, and for anyone who tunes in, you'll be getting $50 off with the code SACRED. And you can go ahead and click below to get access to that offer. And make sure that you do not delay. If you're sitting with it and you're like, not sure, hop on it right away before they fill up, because we want to recognize that this is an amazing offer that they're offering to those who are tuning in to our Self-Love for Everyday Superhero show. So, dun, 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 you have showed up here for a purpose, on purpose. You have been able to, one, give us tools and tips around some misconceptions around I'm going to burn out in trying to take care of myself while struggling with burnout, right? You've been able to teach us today that it is so important that we really tune into our bodies and see some warning flags for burnout. And as well, you've been able to say, if you can resonate with this, this is how you can reach out so that you can continue to be that high-performing individual whose health is not impacted for future generations. And you've also modeled for us today the importance of living in attunement with having a high quality of life. So we want to just thank you so much for showing up and for showing out today. If you want to tune in and subscribe, you can connect with us at Ask Sacred. If you're like, how do I find them again? Message us at Ask Sacred. Our team and I will absolutely connect you because they are official extended family friends of the Kuba Health Network. And I'm so glad, before we go, can you please share any closing words with us for those who are absolutely diving in with excellence and listening to the entire broadcast today? Any final words that you would like to share about transforming burnout to brilliance, or just about who you are?
So many final words, Sacred. I think that people who are excellence driven are really hard on themselves. You know, they're very critical of their performance, and that helps them be excellent at whatever they're doing. And when we work with people, we join people wherever they are. It doesn't matter where they are. If they're in a place and they want to make sure that their A game can happen every single day they show up, that they want to up level and grow their businesses, that they want to connect deeper with the people they love and do more of what they love, that it's possible. We can't add more time to our day, but we can add more energy and more focus and more stamina. And when you do that, you can get the things done you need to do. You can have confidence to up level your business and your projects, and you can have that energy left to share with the people that you love most. And so no matter where you are, we can help you get more efficient at your energy acquisition. And when that happens, you have more time, you have more energy, and that health, wealth, happiness. When you're happy, when you have health, that wealth is so much easier to create because you have energy to go out and serve more people.
And you're more at peace. And I think that peace is really important. We're talking to you today from Vilcabamba, Ecuador, which is the Valley of Longevity. And Stacy and I both have training as yoga instructors, and in the yogic tradition, they don't believe that you necessarily live a certain number of years or have a certain life expectancy. They believe that you have a certain number of breaths that you're going to take in this lifetime. And the more that you're efforting and the more that you're not at peace and the more that you're trying, usually the more we're out of breath, and our breathing is not of high quality. It's shallow. We're not getting a nice oxygen transfer. We're not getting it deep into our lungs. And so when you're stressed, or when your whole system is under stress, you're at a place where, once again, you're using up that bank account, but in this metaphor, you're using up the breaths that make time. And so if you're at a speed and you're at a pace that is serving you, that is serving your self-care and self-love, that is helping you push the goals ahead that you have in your business, in your family, in your work life, whatever they might be, but you're doing that at a pace that serves you, you're extending your lifetime. And there are all kinds of ways to do that we would love to share with you.
Beautiful. And so in reaching out, you'll be able to get access to being served and being held in the way that you deserve it. So glad, Stacy and Markus, that you were able to join us today and model being an everyday superhero in support of self-love, self-care, and being a success. Thank you so much for those who have tuned in and tuned up today with us. We would not be here without you, and we're so humbled and grateful for your presence. May the ancestors continue to walk with you and shine on your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to Self-Love for Everyday Superheroes. Be well, everyone.